Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will discuss whether China intends to escalate the situation at the border with India. China has deployed fighter planes and missiles near the line of actual control in the eastern Ladakh sector. This has been stated by Indian Air Force Air Chief Marshal RKS Bhadoria. He said China has also activated its air defense systems. So, what does China intend to do? Is China intending to escalate matters at the border with India? We will discuss such questions in the agenda today with two defense experts. We have with us retired Group Captain of Indian Air Force MJ Augustine Vinod and DRDO's former scientist and Director Public Interface Ravi Gupta. But before we begin our conversation, let's have a look at this small report.
Nearly 9 months after launching military aggression against India on the Ladakh border, China seems to be in a mood to escalate the matters rather than defuse the tensions. The Chinese intentions can be gauged by its move to deploy fighter planes and missiles near the line of actual control with India. Giving details of the Chinese military deployments, Indian Air Force Chief Air Marshal RKS Bhadoria said that J-20 and J-10 fighter planes have been deployed along with the Russian origin Su-30 fighter aircraft close to the Indian territory in Tibet. China has also heavily deployed surface-to-air and surface-to-surface missiles and activated its air defense systems, including the S-400 acquired from Russia. Air Marshal Bhadoria said the Indian side has taken all actions that are required to be taken and that the IAF is ready to counter any misadventure by the Chinese side. To counter the Chinese moves, the Indian Air Force has also deployed its recently inducted Rafale fighter jets and MiG-29 in the Ladakh sector at multiple bases, he said. At the same time, the IAF chief said it was not clear as to why China undertook military aggression against India when it's aspiring for global leadership. He wondered whether it was to push India to have talks on resolving the pendency boundary question or to assess gaps in its military preparedness. It is a major challenge to understand China's game plan, Air Marshal Bhadoria noted. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Group Captain Augustine Vinod and Mr. Ravi Gupta. Welcome to the program again, sir. So I'll begin by asking Group Captain Vinod about Air Chief, what he has stated about China deploying fighter planes, missiles, etc. along the border. So what do you think, that is China going to escalate, intending to escalate the situation? How do you see that?
Ajay ji, namaste.
Namaste.
Most important thing that you covered is that it is deployed in the eastern border.
Yes.
So there are three airfields there in eastern border. One is Lhasa airfield itself, Gongar, and there is a place called Nimchi. And it is also deployed its air defense capability, which is mostly HQ-9s and S-300 missiles. Now anyone, even a child, goes to that terrain and sees, we have discussed it last time, goes to that terrain and sees the minimum altitude of the terrain is around 15,000 feet. From there, when you launch a fighter aeroplane, especially at 10 o'clock in the morning, it is taking off at 1/4 the load, and sometimes it takes off without any load, just with missiles.
Right.
So deploying fighters there, it is going to hamstring itself. God is not favoring them. they are sitting at high altitude.
But if I may
As
ask,
opposed to,
if I may ask you a supplementary, is it difficult or impossible to operate fighter planes in those heights? Because I can tell you that we have operated fighter planes at the height of 18,000 feet in Ladakh,
that is
Kargil,
true.
Kargil and Siachen.
No, that is true. Kargil and Siachen, takeoff is the problem, Ajay.
Yeah.
So that is the limiting factor. And most importantly, as you correctly covered, air defense is deployed there.
Yeah.
But in that area, we can beat this air defense. I told you, remember, that they will be flying across Myanmar.
Right.
That is we need to look out for. ये दिखाएगा कहीं और, करेगा कहीं और.
Okay. So that is in fact, Air Chief has also said the same thing, that we need to understand the game. It's a challenging thing to understand China and its games. Mr. Ravi Gupta, is it so challenging to understand China's games?
See, it is a bit of challenge what China has in mind, because if you take a look at the past 70 years or so of the history, China has been playing very weird games. But if you see, if we go by tactical aspect, from where it will attack and what means it will adopt, I think those things may be difficult to come. But I think more important is the bigger picture. The bigger picture which our king also given a hint in his lecture. What is the bigger picture? China has long-term plans, and it intends to attack the adversaries as China perceives it. Because India, as far as India is concerned, हमने कभी किसी से दुश्मनी मोल लेना नहीं चाहते हैं. भारत एक शांति प्रिय देश हमेशा से रहा है. भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने गीता में कहा है, युद्ध अंतिम विकल्प, शांति सर्वोपरि.
बट सर, शांति बहाल करने के लिए युद्ध जरूरी होता है.
एग्जैक्टली, शांति सर्वोपरि, लेकिन शांति से भी ऊपर है हमारा राष्ट्रहित, देश हित और आत्मसम्मान. उससे ऊपर कुछ नहीं है.
राइट.
और जहां तक चीन का सवाल है, चीन किसी सिद्धांत को नहीं मानता. बाई हुक और क्रुक चीन चाहता है कि मुझे जो करना है मैं करके रहूंगा. वो इंडिया की बात छोड़िए, वो अमेरिका तक को टक्कर देने को तैयार है, रशिया से मिल चुका है.
राइट. that is what IAF chief has, that is what IAF chief said, that China has global aspirations and ambitions.
Exactly.
So it will be at a
Now,
loss.
where do we fit it?
Yeah.
हमें देखना यह है कि इन दिस ग्लोबल एस्पिरेशंस ऑफ चाइना, वेयर डज इंडिया फिट इन? इफ पीपल थिंक दैट चाइना विल ओनली अटैक in the high altitudes and try to capture some heights, I think that is a very, very naive understanding. China will like to have the entire India and entire Myanmar.
Right.
Missions are much bigger. Now, earlier we had a bipolar world. Now it is a multipolar world, and China want to make it once again unipolar, subduing all of the countries.
Right.
I have no hesitation in saying, this is my perception, that this COVID, what the people say COVID, I call it Chinese virus, it is part of their game plan.
Okay.
It attacked with bioweapons called Chinese Wuhan virus. Subsequently, it attacked India in the northern frontiers. At the same time, it tried to capture the big companies globally, Indian companies as well as American companies, through dubious means. So its game plan was very well thought of. Fortunately, today we have in our country a strong government which could take a strong political decision and could control many things which would have gone haywire.
Right. So
China started plan long back. One more question I would like to ask.
Yeah.
See, how do you see the pumping in of money into Rajiv Gandhi Foundation? Should I call it as a bribe? For a long time, we did not invest in infrastructure in the border areas. Can any country do that? So why it was neglected?
No, it was not neglected. There was a policy. If I tell you that there was a China study policy, which said that if we build infrastructure there, Chinese will just come in using that infrastructure. That was a very skewed policy. So let me ask Group Captain Vinod. about this policy since you have been an armed forces officer?
Let me clarify one more thing. I was the first CATSPOC. और CATSPOC का मतलब है Center for or Command Air Tasking and Strike Planning for Aerial Warfare. I got Presidential Award for writing the first air war plan.
Great, congrats.
So, no, I will not reveal what I wrote, but what I will tell you is what is from the open source. Now, let's stick to the question.
Yeah.
The question is, will he show his fangs, come up a little more than what he is already doing? In my opinion, no. Because there is a whole lot he will lose, not only in Eastern Ladakh, but also in Western Ladakh. Nothing stops us from opening the Western Ladakh corridor. Why? Because there he is extremely weak. We will capture territory for quid pro quo gains. Another thing is about the question that you asked. On the floor of the Parliament, Defense Minister, Mr. A.K. Antony, very clearly specified that we did not do any infrastructure development as a policy because if he comes inside, he will use that road. I mean, what kind of a policy is this? आप बताइए कैसे सोच रखा है हमने?
It was a skewed policy.
But thankfully, things have changed. Yeah. So that is why we made
And
infrastructure now.
Group Captain, I may also point out that there was a proposal to create a mountain strike corps, which fizzled out after some years.
No, the mountain strike corps, sir, uska, I think I'll not talk about it. Let's talk about mountain strike corps, why it came up and why it fizzled out, and probably in some other program, but not in this program because it is not relevant to this program. And there is a little bit of
no, it is relevant because I think that was proposal was to create mountain strike corps, only keeping in view the Chinese.
Let's leave it at that, sir. But the point is, you required adequate amount of troops to cater to the enemy in the mountains.
Yeah.
That is the bottom line. Bottom line kya hai? 1:3 on plains is the defender to attacker location, this thing. You know, thumb line. Where thumb rule. Whereas when you are attacking in the mountains, it goes up to 1:7, 1:8, 1:13. We have seen that in Kargil. So we need more troops when we are attacking a defending location. That is not the case in our case. Like our co-panelists covered, we are not going to go take territory like Chinese do. I came in the morning program of yours and I covered the same. It is covered in our constitution very clearly. We don't have any extraterritorial ambitions. We have never had extraterritorial ambitions historically. But we, like Rajnath Singh ji covered in the morning, कोई ऐसा कदम उठाए हम मुंह तोड़ जवाब देने का काबिलियत रखते हैं.
Right. So, Mr. Gupta, if we talk about missiles that China has deployed, and we are, I think, best in the missiles. You know better. You have been in DRDO. So how are we matching up?
See, in terms of strategic missiles, let us not talk of the range. China has 12,000 kilometer range strategic missiles to which we can drop a nuclear bomb. Our requirement is not 12,000 kilometers. Our 5,500 kilometers, the entire China is covered. So our threat perception is very well met. In terms of quality, in terms of precision, we are better off. Right. And important thing is what our Air Chief has also highlighted in his lecture, that it is important to have indigenous things. Now, fortunately, thanks to the program called IGMDP, started in the 80s, today we are fully self-reliant in terms of strategic missiles as well as tactical missiles. So we have a superiority in terms of all kinds of missiles.
So if
But
yeah,
there are new theaters of war emerging. There are new kinds of war emerging. And those are emerging very rapidly. What are those? These are, number one, your cyber security, cyber warfare. Then you have got drone warfare. I'm not talking about the big giant drones which America had used to attack Iraq or other neighboring regions. Those we can take care very well. They are easier to take care because you can use your anti-aircraft guns or anti-aircraft surface-to-air missiles. The big problem are the small drones which are proliferating very rapidly. They can come in large numbers and saturate your sensor system. Again, fortunately, India is totally self-reliant due to DRDO's efforts in terms of radars. We can detect. Only problem is that those small, low-value drones, you will not be using the missiles, surface-to-air missiles worth crores and crores of rupees. You need some innovative solutions, which again DRDO and Air Force and Army, we are working together along with the academia and private industry. There are other means to handle them, which we are, rest assured, we are working. A lot of things have been done, but it is a continuing affair. Right. And we have to keep continuing. The third very important area is information warfare, which is very important. Our citizens must have faith in our services, our armed forces. The foreign countries, especially the enemy in the north and the west, is trying to create a sense of insecurity among the citizens by spreading false information. That we have to guard against.
right.
So, yeah.
Group captain is an expert on drone. I'll go to him. But before that, I want to ask you about the missile defense system that Chinese have, S-400. So we are also procuring those. But as of now, can we penetrate those S-400s?
Very good question, Ajay ji, and I was expecting. ये issue क्या है ना?
Yeah.
The terrain is the biggest issue as for Chinese. Unless you see something, how will you fire at it? So there are two aspects to missile. One is surface-to-air missile, which is part of air defense, and what doctor talked about is the surface-to-surface missiles. Surface-to-surface missiles में the ICBMs and IRBMs will not be fired. Their rocket force, जिसको कहते हैं, they don't. Why it is called rocket? They don't have a word called missile in Chinese language. So in rocket force, what are they talking about? They are talking about air-launched cruise missiles. HQ-9 and surface-to-air missile, S-400 missiles, and their surface-to-surface launched cruise missiles and air-launched cruise missiles. Air-launched cruise missiles and surface-to-surface launched cruise missiles के numbers जो हैं, almost 70% of their SSM and air-launched cruise missile threat, against which we already have defense, layered defense. But what is important for us to understand, will he take that step? अगर वो step ले लिया है, what prevents me from launching BrahMos or Scalp and take out his three basic airfields, which is in the north? The moment his three airfields are put down, मैं धड़ल्ले से जाऊंगा, whatever I want to do.
But as I mentioned, they have S-400s deployed already.
Sir, you look at the terrain. You follow the valleys. You can go hit them without even missiles seeing them. These missiles, which have longer ranges, have very big minimum range. 50 kilometer अगर आप pop up कर रहे हैं radar पे, these missiles cannot be utilized against you because इनका max range अच्छा है, min range भी उतना ही अच्छा है. So min range के लिए they will have short range missiles. However, this short range missiles will have issues of seeing. So it is air defense in that area, sir, is not easy job.
And what about drones?
We have already worked. Now, drones is an issue which everybody, every country today, after Azerbaijan and Armenia war, is thinking about.
Right.
Abhi uska straight away giving answer is not a way to go. Little bit of disagreement with the doctor, because capturing these low-cost drones on the radar is a very far-fetched dream. 5 से 6 मीटर आपको रेंज में ये पकड़ में आ जाए तो बहुत बड़ी बात है. So how will you take them out?
And they are mostly low flying.
So close-in defense system, mostly low flying.
Yeah.
तो point defense करना पड़ेगा. तो ये point कितना point defense लगाओगे आप? So these are the questions that most of the countries have put on their thinking cap and they are working towards. Even we are working towards it. But if you ask me realistically, nothing less than 2 to 3 years is when we will have a viable counter-drone system. Even then, these drones will get through.
Okay, Mr. Gupta.
So that is the problem.
Yeah, Mr. Gupta, as you talked about S-400s, are they impregnable? Can we penetrate? As Group Captain said that terrain is an issue.
Definitely. He has brought out a very pertinent point. The S-400 is designed by Russia. It has been designed for its own terrain.
Right.
Russia doesn't have the kind of terrain which we have in the Himalayas and Karakoram. In these mountainous range, the radars which S-400 is using, it becomes more or less useless when you are flying low behind the hills and suddenly your aircraft pops up, attacks and goes away. So S-400, I don't say that S-400 is totally useless, but yes, its effectiveness as compared to what it is there in Russian terrain is highly reduced when it comes to Himalayan terrain, what we have in Ladakh region. Number two, India has our own system, our own indigenous radar systems, which have been evolved taking into consideration the mountainous terrain. Now, what do we have? I won't like to go into too much details, but we have small radars, which are covering the local area and have a complete chain of such radars. The radars which can be, because earlier we did not have even the roads in the Himalayas, DRDO developed radars which could be mounted on mules and deployed. And they are specifically for air defense against these small aircraft.
On mules, you said?
Yeah.
On mules, yes.
Now, coming back to the drone part, see, I agree with the Captain Augustine Vinod that it will take several few years, more years to work out a viable solutions against a specific one-to-one attack against defense against these small drones. But there is something which is always workable. What is called deterrence. If you kill me, I kill you.
Right.
We also have to have loitering drones, loitering unmanned aerial vehicles which can go and attack. So that is a kind of, okay, if you damage me, I can damage you. And for that, apart from the small ones, we also have our nearby missile, which is a very pertinent, potent, loitering kind of missile. It can go into the enemy territory and keep on loitering for an hour or so and attack at the right opportune moment. Flying as low as its treetop, so it can hide, as so won't be able to detect it. Because you are flying behind the hills, and then suddenly attacking it. That's a very potent weapon they are having.
Very good to hear that, but unfortunately our time is up. So I think we had to end this discussion here. Maybe next time we'll have further discussion. But thank you both of you for participating in this debate today. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic. Till then, goodbye.